Okay. So, Ray, we're kind of interested in your tank and your position in your tank. And we happen to have a photograph that was taken by German photographers at the time of Beefy, your tank. And we're just wondering if maybe you could comment a little bit about the positions in the tank, where your position was, where the other positions were, and maybe about anything in the background in the picture.
This is very interesting, especially for me, because my job in the tank was on the right side of the picture you see here, in the turret, opposite the crew commander, who was in the other side of the turret, and in between myself and the crew commander is the gunner. So then my job was to load that tank gun with the shells that were around me, and to put them in that breech, and then tap the fellow to, and it indicated then that he was ready to fire at the casino, which we see in the background here, because the apparent reason was that it was full of German snipers and they were picking off people on the beach at will. So that was our job, and that was our target. You'll notice in the front you have a co-driver who sits on the left, and the driver of the vehicle itself sits on the right. And they were all people that I knew quite well. And as I said, the loader operator was on the right side of the vehicle, as you see it here, and the gunner down between us and the crew commander. So when I was set, I had my shells put in the breech and I was ready to go, I'd tap the gunner, and away we went. And the idea was to get rid of all those shells very fast, because the danger was, as we saw from actions with other tanks, the rocks from the beach had gathered in the sprocket, if you will, or of the track, and then any motion then broke it track. So then you were being held at bay because you could not move then. So this was the danger. So I said, this has got to be done, and we're doing it right now. So that was my job for that day, and thankfully I was able to pursue it and make it to that to the end of that. And then, of course, after that, after a time when it seemed like it was going to be forever, we didn't know what was going to happen. The call for surrender came from our officers or over top of us, and then we had to then get out of our tank and walk up to the beach to surrender to the enemy, as it was known then. Do I progress with that any further? I can say that I walked up there with hands up in the air, expecting to get a blast. We didn't know what the outcome would be. And the fellow in capturing me told me in German to drop my gun. And we wore small arms, a revolver around our waist. And I said, well, maybe I should do that, because he looks a little frantic and like he might just fire. So I did so, and that's how I became a prisoner. That was the onset of our time prior and becoming. I'm sure that this you can see from the picture that it was well done, and the name of the tank is Beefy. And we had these names on to prove that was B Squadron of the Calgary Regiment tank.
Could you explain the number on the tank too, the number 10, and can you just point to your specific spot on the tank?
Yes, I would be over on this side, opposite the crew commander, who would be over here. You can see these are the two turrets that are up there, and then the co-driver would be down here, and he usually had a machine gun that he was using. And the driver had all he could do to just keep the vehicle going and to do its work. This is a Churchill tank, by the way, and we didn't run into it or see it until we got into the little town of Seaford, which is in Sussex, in the south part of England. So unfortunately, there wasn't equipment to. It only came just prior to the raid on Dieppe, which happened on August 19th, 1942. And we are in a TLC, which is a tank landing craft, from there over to New Haven. From New Haven, to the beach at Dieppe, and then that's where the battle became something of history now. But I'm sorry, here, that's the how of it, and fortunately, I was able to come back, and I can talk about it. And I have a caption in the Sun that says, "I'm still here."
That's great, Ray. The next area we were going to get you to talk about is the area about returning to Dieppe. So how many times did you actually go back to Dieppe?
The first time was in the 80s. I'm sorry, and I wanted my wife to see where I had been. So we then went flew to Paris and got Françoise Clou, who we'd met in Dieppe for the 50th anniversary, which was 92. But we knew her prior to that, having been there. So I got back to Dieppe, spent some time in Paris, walked around all the areas we could find, and got a nice little some souvenirs and so on from the area. Went to a little hotel there, and it was very nice. And then spent 3 weeks in Scotland, England, Scotland, and Wales, bed and breakfasting. So I said, this has got to be the time to see where I had been and all the things that related to our trip over there. I was very grateful for it, and a lot of people helped me on the way. It was nice.
So would you say you'd been there, was it five times you've been back?
I was there for in the 80s first, as on my own, and 1992, the 50th, and also the 65th, and perhaps there was a time in between, and then 2012 would be the 70th anniversary of Dieppe, which was, as far as we that are older know, that was going to be the ultimate. And my wife and I, Dorothy, decided that was what we would do. And I wanted to go on my own, but the Veterans Affairs people caught up with me and said, "Ray, you're going to represent your regiment, the King's Own Calgary Regiment." And I said, "Okay." So we went through quite a bit of things, doctors, nurses, insurance, and made the trip there and back, which was very, I was grateful for it, because it concluded something for me in my life. I'll always feel that way.
All right, would you be able to talk about this presentation memory box for us from the 70th?
Yeah, this was presented to myself at one of the legions in Calgary after we had been to Dieppe, and the people there represent Honor Guard from the regiment, as it's known now, the King's Own Calgary Reserve. And they caught up with me one day while we were out on a certain ceremonial thing during the time this took place in Dieppe. And you'll see a picture of myself in the center there. The stones, by the way, there's no sand on the beach, and they represent some of our problem we had with our tanks. And they are still there, believe me. But the people in England take the same ferry across to the way we went for the battle at Dieppe and go to the market for their fish and various things from England. So it's a sort of a weekend thing that happens. And they all seem to enjoy it. So thank goodness for that.
Great. And maybe we can get you to talk about this kind of noted person that you met, Sister Agnes Marie.
Yeah. Sister Agnes Marie, whom we met through a friend that we met in 92 in Dieppe. This lady was given the honor from the government of France to be decorated with an honor as having helped all the wounded on the beach after the battle. And she ran across our officer, Lieutenant Ed Bennett, and they got along quite well. So she has been a source of leaving to go there to see her and gather her stories because she was so true to what she did and what she believes in. And this last time in 2012, we were able to go to a mass in her church, if you want to call it, and spend some time with her before we left to come back to Canada on our trip on this last 2012 70th anniversary, that is. So it was a welcome thing, and she greeted me as if she had known me my life through. And she is 95 and still going. She has quite a time trying to walk, but so every once in a while she has to have a little help. But keeps her humor. She's a very short little lady and explosive French. I try to follow her sometimes. It's difficult, but she's a very good friend. Thank you very much.
So, Ray, on reflection, what does the Battle of Dieppe mean to you today?
Well, I have my own means of justification. First of all, and last of all, in reflection, I would like to say it became the forerunner for the Normandy invasion, and they learned a terrific amount from the Battle of Dieppe. And it also kept the Germans off the Russian front, and they needed desperately, being our allies at that time, they needed desperately the time to organize themselves for weaponry and everything else, some of which they were getting from the United States to keep that particular area going. So it's a justification. It may be just my own idea, but I think it's quite authentic, and I think it deserves mentioning.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything else that you wanted to
I would
talk
like to
about
talk
in
about
service?
my last journey, I presume, for the 70th anniversary of Dieppe, in that I was asked to represent my regiment, which I did as far as the best I could, and I did talk to a lot of people who were there on the beach and recognized why we were there, and they were very, very interested. The people of Dieppe fly the flag there, the Canadian flag, all the time. And the association we've had with them has been tremendous over the years. In fact, I was asked to sit on the podium with the Governor General of Canada and the Ministers of Veterans Affairs and other people of significance, which I did. And the French counterpart did a little thing to honor our veterans who had passed away and so on, and my job came up to do that, and I was so happy that I was picked for this, and I felt very good about it, and it goes like this: they shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
The next area I wanted to just talk about with you is you have been just a major influence and a major prominent person in the museum, the military museums here for a number of years, and your contribution is just amazing. So, and for your regiment, but also for the museum and educating others. I was wondering how you got involved with the museum, first off.
Well, for some time now, in about 1990 or thereabouts, the Queen of England came over, and she became part of our regiment, and it was an honor to see her. I spoke to her, and this was a gathering at McMahon Stadium for that occasion. And then thence afterwards, I became involved to the extent I'd like to come over and see how the progress was made on the gallery itself, which became a kind of a prominent thing. And when I retired from my work, and I could see that my family and everything were doing fine, and etc., so I decided then, a little bit later on, to volunteer over here because I felt I had some input that would bring that stories together and honor our past veterans who have passed away and those who cannot be here to do it, who are unable. So it's become a new venue for me in my retirement and my age group, to be here and offer the things that I believe that I do better than someone else. Memory is still there. Thank you very much for listening, and we owe the museum a great deal. They're helping a lot of, and we have an education system bar none here, and people that work in that are doing a great job. So I commend them.
Thank you. And before we leave, we really want to get involved in some song, one of your favorite songs, your pub song in England or your barbershop quartet that you belong to. Could you give us anything there?
I only do a small bit of it, as I recognize the fact that there are young people who like to feel an involvement. And I always tout the idea that I've been barbershopping since 1957, when I first heard the Stampede City Chorus, when I was at the Palliser Hotel to one of our gatherings to remember. And I started out then, and so far I'm still there. And there's a little song that I like to sing to the children when they're here, and I'm unabashed. That's the trouble with me. I just think that, and they look at me with wonder, with the eyes big, and it goes like this. Don't be a baby, baby, about a love that passed you by. But if you have to, baby, go ahead and have your cry. I'll be your baby, baby, truer than the one you knew. Then someday maybe, baby, you will learn to love me too.
What a great end, Ray. Awesome. That's a special one.
It is special because I do it for those children. And you know what? They just look at me with eyes that's big. This old guy. That's what, so I get a kick out of doing it, see.
Yes, no,
But
that's excellent.
the nuances, the things are there.
And
I don't say I hit every note right.
well, it sounded good to me.
But some of my supervisors, my peers over there will tell me, but I'm the oldest one there. It's pretty hard to tell me.
All right.
But there was one time there when this key from a Klim can, which is powdered milk in a Canadian Red Cross parcel, was able to open the lock on each side of the chains we wore. So I was bold enough to recognize that, see what reaction I get out of the German guards by doing this. So I opened it up and went outside, walking around with my hands waving like this. You see, and the next thing I knew, I was in the guardhouse promptly, and I always demonstrate that when I go into the military museums. It's a nice little story, it's cute, but they put you against the wall on your tiptoes, and your face and nose right up to the wall for some time, and they're standing right behind there making sure you're doing it. So consequently, I didn't do that again. But it's a way of being defiant, if you like. And I was looking for some response from it. I was fortunate they didn't do anything else but that. Another time we were out on work parties, and we didn't have clothing like for rain, no rain gear or something. So I would do a little demonstration out there on the work party. I'd hold up my hands like this, and the words in German is rain is Regen, alla Regen, alla Regen, and then they would get a little bit after me. I got away with that too, but it was a little close, that one. I was mocking them. They didn't like it too much, no. Just a couple little incidents that happened during this time of my stay. But somehow we had to get back to them and let them know that we are people too. We had rights also. I didn't. That was what. If you refused to work, the word out was you could be shot. But I said if we all go together, and we did. Walked right off the little lot. then you're okay, because they're not going to shoot one when they're going to lose more. They can't do that. They need them for the work, you see. So I had to get this in the back of my mind, but just for the heck of it, I tried that out. And I learned a little bit of Deutsch that was, maybe I shouldn't have, but to protect myself to some extent. And I used it for a little bit of humor as well. Ich war in Deutschland gewesen, hab hier Kriegsgefangenen. And they wondered what that was. It means in Hochdeutsch, I was a prisoner of war for over 2 years. And I heard this little thing when the German soldiers walked by the palisade, as I call it, outside the prison camp, and they were marching along, and that's the story they told when they were marching. And all it means in English, that everything goes along no matter what day or month it is. It's just a little song they sing for the marching.
Could you just talk briefly about the Dieppe medal on that side, and also your Dieppe bar that you have?
As far as I know, this Dieppe medal was made after the war, and I got the honor of being able to wear it. And since I've been back a few times, it's recognized as an honorable thing. Whereas the colors here, this particular one, if I can just point to it, it's I thought it showed the prisoner of war I thought it depicted the prisoners of war. However, I may be wrong with my. But I had a notion that's what it was, and it was meant to be on the medal for that reason, to point out the fact that we had been tied and were chained for that time and space, or whatever, as a punishment, so to speak, and to make the rest of the world aware of how powerful they were, which wasn't the way it was at all. And what I have to say, it's about the Nazi part of the regime. The German soldiers today, I'm sure, they would rather forget it, but it's emblazoned in the minds of a lot of us who were there. Can't help it.
Yes, you're an excellent advocate and voice for all of those soldiers who didn't make it, and for those who have passed away recently. You're doing a great job on that, Ray. I know you know that.
Thank you very much.
Good for you.
Thank you.